Welcome to our NAF Cash presentation. My name is Scott Finkley, and today you're going to hear about how NAF Cash will level the playing field and change real estate as you've known it to be. With NAF Cash, you'll be able to put an all-cash, non-predicated offer in technically before your borrowers even listed their home for sale.
Saying cash is king. Well, nowhere is it more relevant when trying to buy a home today. Did you know in a typical market, 27% of home sales go to cash buyers? And statistically, the seller will often accept less money when dealing with a cash buyer, up to 12% less on average. That's tens of thousands of dollars. Wall Street is buying hundreds of thousands of homes and turning them into rentals. If you're out there making offer after offer and not being chosen, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So NAF Cash will allow you to use our cash when making your offer. And that moves you right to the front of the line. What's there to think about? Call us today.
We're getting some feedback. Oh, well, this is a bridge loan. It is not a bridge loan. This is the furthest thing from a bridge loan.
Mm-hmm. It's a purchase and a sale.
It's a purchase and a sale.
Yeah.
And it's all cash. Has nothing to do with the vacating property. It's all on the purchase.
It doesn't have to be the highest number.
Correct.
I have plenty of times accepted lower offers because they were cash with a quick close. It's the terms of the offer, not just the price. I've sold plenty of homes over the years as a full-time investor, and I'm not looking for top dollar. I'm looking for confidence to close.
Y'all have a unique way of solving problems.
Correct.
And, New American Funding is a gigantic company. We've talked about that in the prior segment. Y'all have a lot of experience. Just you two individually as your own company and with New American Funding, you have a great team and staff and process. But let's talk about hard deals and what this NAF Cash program is and how it allows you to be creative when somebody may run into some situation. So let's start high level. What is NAF Cash, and what does it do for people?
So NAF Cash, first off, is a game changer. It totally changes real estate as we've known it to be. In a normal environment up until NAF Cash, if you're looking to sell to buy, typically the house you're wanting to put an offer in, that seller's not really going to accept an offer if it's predicated or if your house isn't even listed yet or there's no contract on the vacating home yet.
Yeah.
And so, early COVID, as when this program was invented by us, we own it, we created it. It is a absolute unique proprietary program that solves the messy transaction of selling to buy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah. So, the best part about it is, back to its inception, 2019, when it was dreamt up by our EVP in Colorado. And you guys remember the COVID times, right? A house would go on the market for hours, not days.
Yep.
And it would have 10, 15, 20 offers, 10, 15, $20,000 over asking price. And all of our loan officers, we had all these pre-approved customers, but they all had
Houses to sell.
their wealth in their equity. So they weren't getting any deals to stick. So Milt got with Rick and Patty, pitched the idea of NAV Cash. I think about 6 weeks' time, Patty went to Washington, D.C., had it cleared by Fannie, Freddie, VA. We launched it. And so basically what it is we'll use our cash. Mm-hmm. So the agents, if their client finds a property that they absolutely love, they're now writing an all-cash offer.
Yeah.
Not predicated.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think everybody in this room knows the difference between a finance offer and a cash offer. Mm-hmm. So we basically purchase the house for them. We do the cash closing, then the buyer gets to move in, and then they get to list their house for sale. We give them 7 days after the cash closing, and they've already moved into their new dream home, which they secured with an all-cash offer before they list their house. So they no longer have to prep for showings, leave work, gather the dogs, gather the kids.
Declutter.
And and most importantly too, guess what? Guess what real estate agents love to? They love listing a vacant home because then they can stage it, it's clean. It really releases a lot of the stress of the transaction. And so like we'd like to say is the typical real estate market or the transaction is you have to sell before you buy. Well, with NAV Cash, you can buy before you sell. And in this market, with an all cash offer, you're seeing some savings off of the list price.
So this is the basics of this. So if y'all have a client who comes to you guys and they're like, I am looking to buy a house. I haven't listed my house yet, but I want to buy something new. I do plan on listing, but I have this house that's on the market that I really want to take advantage of. they can, as long as they're approved by you guys, can make an offer with your money, New American Funding's money, and y'all will purchase that property with y'all's cash and give that person now the ability to move in and then take some time before they list their house, a couple of days. And the on the deed, on the contract, it's going to state that New American Funding is the purchaser.
Correct.
And there's agreements between you guys and them stating that if they follow the process and they get everything done, once they sell their house, they'll then purchase it from you guys pretty much, and then they'll move in.
Correct. Yeah. So it makes it a seamless transaction. And look, here's the thing. They can have their house already listed for sale that they're vacating. That is not a problem.
Yeah.
They just don't have to list it for sale until 7 days after we've paid cash for the new home. And look, think about it this way. This is the biggest debacle with the mortgage industry and the real estate environment when you're selling to buy is, let's say someone says, okay, hey, I want to get pre-approved. I want to sell to buy, right? So we get them pre-approved and they go look for homes. But again, no one's really accepting a predicated offer, especially if the vacating house isn't under contract yet. So their house finally goes under contract. Well, the house that they loved,
It's gone.
that's already gone, right? So here's the pickle. The pickle is, okay, now I've got 30 days. I got to go find another home. Well, what if you can't find the home that you really love?
Yeah.
Now you got 30 days to make a decision. Are you going to settle?
Yeah.
And I'm going to guess a lot of people settle.
Well,
Or do I go rent? Right?
And then there's just the whole caveat of juggling buying while selling, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so the fact that you guys allow them to endure the buying process, and then 7 days after that purchase, they then have to move. Then they can say, okay, now I've basically finished the buy part for the most part, right? Knowing that there's a caveat on the back end, but then now we can do the sell part and get that moving. So you're not having to juggle. I have a list of questions of people who frequently ask me, especially on the radio on WWL every weekend. So it's dealing with the public. A lot of people call in. This is one of the top ones. Courtney, how do I juggle both the buying and selling part? Because it's messy and complicated and there's not a lot of streamline. And so this sounds like not only a streamline, but it gives the buyer an upper hand because you're no longer are you making an offer that's contingent, that's a predicated offer. And it's not even a financed offer at that. It is a cash offer. Guess what cash usually gets me? Precedence and a discount sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to move your offer right to the top of the line.
Yeah. And so there's a level there that, that's huge. And so I can, is there anything else you want to say about the NAV cash offer?
On the buyer side, I want to talk about the agent side.
So let's talk about it because everything we've talked about so far is the mechanics, the workings of having to sell before you buy.
Yep.
Well, you don't have to be a homeowner to use NAV Cash, okay? You can,
so that you can...
You can be a first-time buyer?
Yeah, so I'll give you a perfect example, okay? So I have a VA client who's living in Oklahoma. Just got his transfer papers, never bought a home before, husband and wife.
So he's renting in Oklahoma?
He's renting in Oklahoma, got transferred 3-year stint. He's in the Marines, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. So we get them approved for our VA NAV Cash program. The wife hops on a flight. This is the week after Thanksgiving. They have to be there by the 20th of December. Meets an agent up there looking at a new home. And we actually have this on one of our social media pages to where they were looking at a new construction home. So the builder's agent was there and you kind of heard her start asking the hot questions. Have you been pre-approved yet?
Yeah.
Have you thought about financing? And from behind, this lady's agent goes, oh, they're all cash buyers. And you can hear the sales rep go, oh, congratulations. And basically, I want to say the house was a $405,000, $409,000 brand new construction house. They told her, if you can close before the end of the year, we'll dot it right now for $380,000.
Wow.
Yep.
So they went under contract. And here's the benefit in this situation for NAV Cash. They went under contract. We had a closing on the 17th of December because we can close these in 12 days or less sometimes. But she flies back to Oklahoma. Her husband graduates from his artillery school on the 17th. They load up their U-Haul. Now, granted, we've already closed on this house that same day in Oklahoma, in North Carolina for them. Takes them 2.5 days to drive. They show up on the 19th evening at 10 p.m. The agent left the key under the door for them. They were able to spend their first night in their home without the complexities of having to wait on a closing.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I can tell you how much I believe in this because that wife I told you about, that was my daughter.
I want to bring another example up because this is such a key piece of this puzzle. There's so many different avenues, right? But this is very unique. We've got a lot of clients, a lot of consumers out there who are sitting at 2-3%, right? And rates are not there anymore. They're not, and we're not going to be back there probably ever
yeah.
right? So but they're getting that itch. I want to move. Right.
I need a bigger house. I need to be something else. Yeah.
They're wanting to do it, but they really don't want to lose their rate to just kind of settle on a home. Right. Because the problem is, and I have an example, I had a client, I want to move, but I don't want to lose my rate. But oh my gosh, I want this house.
Yeah.
NAF Cash. Let's get you approved for NAF Cash. Put an offer in. If it gets accepted, move in, then list your home. Sure enough. And so we close that transaction. So, opening the doors up to those out there that are sitting at a low rate or not sure they want to move. They're just so worried about what if I can't get the home I want? NAF Cash solves that problem.
Yeah.
It solves it. You're guaranteed what you want before you've even listed your home technically.
Yeah. I've seen agents and sellers all rave about the program after doing closings with you guys. So from a buyer's agent standpoint, what benefit does it offer for those types of people who are out there trying to find houses for their client and trying to time the market? And also talk about how you become a NAF Cash buyer's agent too.
Good question. So from a buyer standpoint, from a buyer's agent standpoint, the main thing is we want to get their application in up front, right? Because we're offering all cash.
Yeah.
So we're going to want to pre-underwrite the file. Right. So we pre-underwrite the file, we get them approved. It only takes us a few days to pre-underwrite them, right? Now that agent is running around with a buyer for an all cash offer.
Right.
And so, as we get into a more busy season, this is going to be where NAF Cash really pokes its head out because we've all been there. We know that when a busy season happens, you might put offer after offer after offer after offer in, and then finally have to settle on a home and, oh, by the way, pay tens of thousands of dollars to maybe hope to win the seventh home you bid on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
NAF Cash for a buyer's agent and a buyer allows them to put an all cash, non-predicated offer in and move their offer way to the top of the line because it's all cash with a quick close. We can close in 12 days, no problem. Yeah. I'll give you another example. So the first one I ever closed, this is such a perfect example. Lady moving from Thibodeau to St. Charles Parish, and there was a new construction home in between her mom and her sister.
Nice.
So think about the emotional standpoint on this, right?
Sure.
Well, I had her approved NAF Cash, but she's like, well, I'm going to put in a predicated offer in. Full asking price was denied, right? Wasn't accepted. Came back NAF Cash, 20 grand under asking price, closed in 12 days, builder took it.
Wow.
And so, these are real life examples of what we're experiencing.
Yeah.
So kind of to your point, not just from a convenience standpoint, but
Confidence
right now
standpoint.
it's a little bit more of a buyer's market, right? So there likely could be some savings out there because you are paying cash.
Yeah.
And I can
and
tell
that's
you
huge.
too, how this impacts what we're seeing, the feedback we're getting from our listing agents. Okay. Like 70% of the people that list their home are going to purchase within a 30-mile radius, whether they're upsizing, downsizing, just want to be at a different part of town. The biggest challenge we've seen over the last couple of years is when that listing agent goes to meet with them, they're kind of hesitant because they have that 2 to 3% interest rate. And they're probably kind of like, I'm on the fence and I got to only go if I get the perfect house. Well, now these agents, we can equip them with NAF Cash. They can say, look, I understand you're on the fence, but let's do this. Let's get you approved with NAF Cash, okay? Once you're approved, like Scott said, it takes 2 to 3 days because we completely underwrite the file. So you have 100% approval. Let's pump the brakes. Let's go into a holding pattern. And if the perfect house you want hits the market, we can pounce with an all cash offer. Then I'll list your house for sale. So NAV Cash is actually creating transactions for listing and buying agents.
Yeah. And look, to answer your question, not any agent can just offer NAF Cash to their clients.
Yeah.
They do have to get certified.
So the agents do?
They do. They have to get certified. So we
Okay.
have a
Interesting.
certification class, agent certification class, 5 days a week at different times during the week. It's free. I would just say, hey, get with us. We'll send you the link to get certified. Get certified. Put that notch on your belt, because here's another example. You're going to a listing appointment as an agent and you're NAF Cash certified, and the other agents, let's just say, haven't gotten NAF Cash certified. Well, when you're talking to that seller, you can say, hey, look, one of the added benefits with me is I'm a NAF Cash certified agent. I could represent you and putting an all cash offer in technically before I've even listed your home for sale.
Yeah.
And again, the convenience and just the solitude of the, you know, ease of use of this. It just, like I said, it levels the playing field.
For sure.
You know, and takes all the unknown out.
Yeah. And then, just to put a cherry on top of that, what are the feedback you're getting from sellers on these deals? I mean, we've been in the room with a builder and he's just like, I've never seen this before. Yeah. And also agents that represent a lot of developers. And they're like, they'll call me and be like, is this legitimate? I'm like, we've closed, I can't tell you how many
right.
at this point, and everybody has the same reaction. Like, yeah, it's almost too good to be true.
Right.
That it works out.
And I think, that's, another beautiful part about this program is, remember I mentioned when we walk into the closing booth, normally listing agents are just kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Now they're like, I don't know what this is, but this was awesome. And they're throwing their cards at us. Mm-hmm. And we're able to explain the program and give them a further option. But the best part of what we're seeing too is this program is the most amazing referral creation program ever. And this is kind of generally how it goes. Our client, when somebody buys a home, what do? They're proud of it. They invite their friends and family over for a housewarming party, right?
Right.
So they're sitting around and go, okay, hey, did you sell your house over there? No, I didn't, but I used this cash program that got me my dream home. So like, what? Tell me about it. And then they'll be like, yeah, my agent is certified to represent this. You need to talk to her if you're thinking you want to go buy your dream house. Yeah. And it's creating referral upon referral for the agents who are utilizing the program.
And truly creating this, like, it saves deals and it creates deals. I mean, it is truly amazing. It's happening. I mean, you've experienced it with us. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've
talked with you guys about this because y'all use it as a tool and a relationship builder too. It's like everybody has relationships in this business. So y'all say, hey, look, guys, like, I know you have a lender, but if you haven't run into these situations where I can solve these problems, then let me know. I'd love to help you with an NAF Cash deal.
The thought that came to mind is, so Alex Hormozy, business guy, marketer, right? In his book, he said, make an offer so good that people feel stupid ignoring it, or not taking it. That's what I think of. So I'll be honest, I didn't know what NAF Cash was before coming in here today. And granted, I'm not on the retail side as much, right? As a full-time investor, right? But there's a level where that's what comes to mind. It's an offer that's so good, it's stupid to ignore or to not take.